Until they bring the streetcars back, Chapter 41. Across the street from the construction site, I sprawled with my back against a big elm, eating the lunch my mother packed in my father's lunchbox. That first morning she handed his box to me, I just about told her no, but then I took it without saying anything. I was chomping away and trying to relax when I noticed a guy with an arm in a sling crossing Summit, coming from the construction shack straight for me. Are you Calvin Gant? My stomach tightened. That's me. Could I talk to you for a minute? Yeah, I'm about done eating. He didn't look too hot, a solidly built guy with a receding hairline and nose that looked like someone slammed a door on it, and curly reddish hair. He squatted gingerly, like it hurt, and I started to get a bad feeling. My name is Sergeant Riley. I'm a policeman. Cripes, I couldn't swallow or breathe, and I could feel my face turning gray. Don't worry, I just wanted to meet you to talk a little bit. Why? Well, I've had a lot of time to think. Nearly killed about 4 weeks ago. A suspect stabbed me. I was stupid, dealing with a man I should have been ready for. Didn't see it coming. Luckily for me, he was left-handed. Been right-handed, had stuck it in my heart. The guy stared at me with a funny look on his face. Like to run something by you, if that's okay with you. Okay. Geez, what else could I do? And I was trying my darndest to look calm. Well, this guy is a real cuckoo. Come to find out, he'd been beating up his family, sexually assaulting his daughter, maybe killed her baby, his own son, and drove another daughter crazy. Fits the description of a peeping Tom we've been trying to catch in the Highland neighborhood for over a year. His wife is a helpless soul, mentally screwed up herself by this lunatic. A while back, I get a call from some kid, tells me there's a guy like this, beating his daughter, but he can't tell me who unless I lock up the man. Riley stopped for a minute and made a face like his arm hurt him or something. He shifted his position, and I didn't dare look him in the eye. Any of this sound familiar so far? He said. No. I shook my head and tried to look like I'd never heard any of that stuff, and at the same time swallowed the rest of the tuna fish sandwich that had been turned to sawdust in my mouth. Well, this kid calls me several times and then one night tells me he's going to bring me a body. I try to tell him I'm coming to the body, but he insists. Then I don't hear from him anymore. Nothing. Now this psycho is a brutal bastard that should have been castrated, but he's also a religious nut. Checked him out pretty carefully, and from what we've been learned, stealing liquor would be the last thing this guy'd do. Riley cleared his throat, and I felt my face flush. Darn, I'd never thought of that. Just doesn't fit. Hurt somebody, rape somebody, but he wouldn't have anything to do with booze. And why would we crash into a drugstore with his car? No rain that night, no one chasing him, and the man wasn't drunk. Smelled fishy. Come to find out about 3 weeks before, some high school kid got nailed stealing a case of whiskey from the very same store. This little fact only came to my attention accidentally when a detective casually pointed it out to me, that the prior liquor store had been robbed twice that month. Am I tweaking your interest? I glanced at my watch and kept my eyes away from him. I only have half an hour, I said. Okay, won't keep you. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought it was too far-fetched. He stood carefully and winced, and too beautiful. He held his bad arm and his good one and looked down at me for a real friendly expression on his face. System works pretty well for most people, but it didn't for Gretchen. It has gaps that allow some people to be brutalized. People are scared to death and unable to free themselves, and I don't know what we do about that. He squatted down on one knee right beside me. But you did. I think you called me. I think you nailed that filthy son of a bitch. And I think you are one hell of a kid. One hell of a kid. The policeman looked me in the eye, and I had to look away. Listen, Cal, if it was you, we're going to need you to finish him. That pig is where he belongs. Hope they lock him in the cell at Stillwater until his guts rot out. I was tempted to tell him, to shout what I've done, but my instincts warned me. Never, for as long as I lived, it was Gretchen's job to finish him. I'd done enough, for crying out loud. No, I'd never tell, or I could be the one in jail. Will the guy go to Stillwater? Don't know, but the county attorney probably won't go for murder unless we get something more. If they don't nail him with murder, if all they have is the stolen goods and the assault, could be out in a year or so. I got to my feet, picked up my work gloves with my father's lunchbox. Raleigh stood up beside me. I don't know anything about it, I said. I had some friends who wanted the booze. Was just a crazy spur of the moment thing with me. I made a dumb mistake, a really stupid one. I turned to go back to work. Riley took a hold of my arm. Sure, kid, I understand, but I wish to hell I had a kid like you. I hurried across the street and beat back the tears. I wish my father could say those words, but my father's mouth was closed forever, and he died thinking I was a cheap hoodlum. I stowed my lunchbox in the labor shed and got in line with a buggy to wheel away the heavy concrete. In my work clothes, I sprawled on my bed, trying to get up the energy to take a shower, when I heard the phone. Why did I always think it would be Lola? It's for you, Cal, my mother hollered from the kitchen. My instincts wanted to tell me to say I wasn't home, but I knew she wouldn't. I felt a knock in my chest as I stumbled barefoot for the kitchen. My mother sauntered into the living room with her coffee. Hello, I said. Cal, it's me, Gretchen. Oh, hi, how are you? I'm scared, Cal. I'm really scared. Mr. Brown doesn't think he can prove my father killed the baby without someone else's testimony. He's going to get out of it, Cal, and he'll get me. Wait a minute, calm down. Did you tell them where there was someone else who saw the baby? No, I didn't want to drag you into it. Mr. Brown hoped my mother would help, but she's more afraid of him than I am. She only says my father tells her to say. She only says what my father tells her to say. I'm scared, Cal. With the phone to my ear, I looked out the window into the sunset. I was mad and scared and all mixed up, and I could see Letterman slipping the trap, strolling out of jail in 6 months or a year. And I asked myself if I was willing to go to jail again to kill the rat. Cal, are you there? Gretchen's voice was pulling at me like a lunatic from the other world, like crazy, insane world, and I could hear another voice in my heart. Hang up the phone and run. Run to the north, to the shore, where they can never find you, where you can live like the owl and the otter. Cal, will you tell them? Will you tell them that you saw the baby? Criminy, I knew I'd feel lousy no matter what I decided, and I hated the police and the law that would let this butcher get away with it. Will you, Cal? Please, please. Okay.